Hey guys, Makentz here, and today I'd like to introduce you to a game called Minions of Mirth. This is actually one of my favorite all-time games. It's an independent fantasy MMORPG. It's mostly free to play up to level 15/5. I'll explain how that works later. But you can actually pay a one-time fee of $30, and you can get the premium version, and there's no extra fees at all. You have the rest of the game free for for the rest of your life, honestly. But this is actually this game isn't very popular, but it does have an active community, and the people that do play it they're very close knit. Everyone pretty much knows each other, and that brings me to talk about my first favorite thing about Minions of Mirth is the community. The community in Minions of Mirth is, fantastic. The people who do play constantly are just extremely helpful and always welcoming to new players. It isn't, they're not going to insult you and tell you to get out of here for being a noob and stuff, or insult you for your taste in games. Everyone here is just generally really nice. The guilds on here are actual guilds. They're almost like families because, everyone talks to each other and everyone's very friendly and always willing to help each other out. That has always been one of my favorite things about Minions of Mirth. It's just always nice to play, and everyone's so nice. And the second thing I'd like to talk about is multiclassing. What multiclassing is it allows you to play more than one class. And normally other games that have this feature, it's normally you choose a main class and then you have a secondary class. In this game, you can play up to 3 classes on a single character. You have a primary class, a secondary class, and a tertiary class. And the way this works is when you initially create your character, you choose your primary class. When you reach level 5, you are given the option to choose your secondary class. And then once you reach level 15, you're able to choose a tertiary class. But that being said, there isn't just one. Your character doesn't just have one level set. You actually, each of your classes have their own individual levels. Like let's say your primary class is level 62. Your secondary class, sorry about the noise in the background, I've actually got some notes. Your secondary class is level 31, and your tertiary class is level 20. If you were to tell someone what level you are, you would say you're level 62/31/20. And you can actually set how you want your XP to be divided among your classes. You have little sliders in your paper doll or your character pane to choose how you want all your XP from quests and monster kills to be divided up. And I love this feature about Minions of Mirth because I'm generally the kind of person that can't really decide on one class, and having this option to play 3 different classes is really great for me because I can incorporate different play styles and kind of mix them together any way I want. And the third feature that I really love about this game is called the Encyclopedia. Down here in the left-hand corner of the login screen is a little icon that looks like a book. This is called your Encyclopedia here. What the Encyclopedia is basically everything that you could find in-game, and even the history of Mirth, you will find here in the Encyclopedia. This is really great because it keeps me from getting stuck on what I want to do or where I need a level. Like for example, my main character, his primary class is level 16. I could scroll down here to level 16 and look for what kind of monsters I can actually train on at this level. So let's take Ghoul right here. It says the Ghoul is located in the Desert of Morum. It has the description and its stats, which is actually under the stats, as far as I can tell, it only shows class levels, which I kind of wish it would show other forms. Other stats like health and the damage it does and stuff. That would be nice. But besides that, it also shows the potential loot you can receive from this monster if you've killed it. So I think that's an awesome feature in the Encyclopedia. Then also, when I was choosing what classes I wanted to play, I wanted to know what's different about them. So right down here, I could go under the classes selection and look at all the classes. And here there are 16 different classes. And when you choose a class here, let's look at Revealer. You can see the skills they have, information about the skills. You can see the spells they have, and all the advancements they have that they can get, because you can actually advance your character in different ways as you level up. You get advancement points, and you can apply them in different ways. And this game, you know, a lot of people at first glance don't think this game is, you know, that difficult or has much to it. But there's actually a lot to Minions of Mirth that goes into how you build your character. There's just a whole bunch you can do. Now that being said, there could be a lot more content in this game. Recently, they just released an expansion called Undead Wars, as you can see right here under the logo. Undead Wars basically added new content, like a brand new island, and for max level characters, a whole bunch of new things you can do and new monsters you can kill. And why they don't actually release content too often is the original developers quit the project a while ago, and it's mostly been driven by the community, people that test the game, and people that have some experience in programming that still are back at the company. Para Games, who are the people who have developed the game back in 2005. And I really think that if this game had a better advertisement and, you know, a larger community, they could, you know, get more funds to actually work on the game more, which I think would be absolutely great, because I think Minions of Mirth has a lot of potential. You know, it's not a traditional MMORPG. It kind of, you know, goes off of the beaten path what normally MMORPGs will follow. Like, they normally just incorporate things from, you know, mainstream games like World of Warcraft, because those are great examples because of their high subscriber count. But anyway, so I think Minions of Mirth is, you know, a fantastic game in my opinion. And there's also a couple more things I wanted to talk about right before we get started. When you play the game, you can actually choose to play between being online, or you can play single player. Now, how single player works is you create, well, what's called a world, and it basically functions as a client-side server. Now, you can't actually import characters from single player into the online game, mostly because you can actually use commands in the single player game to test things out, and, you know, you can change your level and all kinds of things. But another cool thing about playing single player is you can play up to 6 characters at once. You add them to what's called a party, which normally you guys would understand what a party is in you know, traditional MMORPGs, where it would be a group of players together. Parties in this game are just your characters together. In single player, you can have up to 6 characters in a party, and you have all the benefits of their skills, their stats, and you can take control of them. But you actually only choose one character, the avatar for one character, to represent you. So you play as one character, but it actually counts as all your other tunes. So you have all their spells and their skills, and you can level them up and stuff. So I actually found this really fun to play on my laptop, because for the longest time I had a couple of months where I was without internet, so I just kind of played single player on my laptop for fun. And it was kind of cool to be able to, you know, go through dungeons playing multiple characters at once. It made it really easy, because some dungeons in this game are pretty difficult to do without you know, other players to help you out. So with playing online, like how I mentioned parties, parties with other players is actually called an alliance in this game. But you know, I'm gonna go ahead and log into my account, and then I'll talk about my 2 other favorite features of this game, the Monster Realm and, well, the soundtrack. I'll get to that. So here you choose a server. I usually go free USA East, because that generally has more players, and, you know, I like to play with new players and help them out, because I like to encourage people to play this game more. So after we have chosen a server, before you make your character, you choose between 3 different realms. Okay, so how realms work are pretty much, they're your alignment or your faction. And so you have the Fellowship of Light, which are the good characters. You have the Minions of Darkness, which are evil characters, and then you have, okay, so the Monster Realm. This I think is really awesome. Like right here I have Bear McFuzz. How the Monster Realm works is when you play on the 2 main alignments, or the realms, you can earn through quests or killing creatures. You earn what are called monster templates. Monster templates are used to be able to create monsters and play as them in the Monster Realm. And all monsters are friendly to each other. They start out in the city of Trinst in some ruins where some skeletons are. And monsters, actually, they can enter what is normally a raid for the other realms, and you know, do quests there, and they have their own little hub. It's kind of pretty cool. And when you create, you know, a monster, let's just choose Crocodile, and I'll name him, I don't know, Green Scales, I guess. Alright, so green scale is the crocodile. When you create a new monster, it actually has pre-made classes and levels, because they kind of represent what the monster would be normally in game and what its level would be, but you can actually level it up more. I haven't played the monster realm enough, but I've heard enough about it to know it's pretty awesome. So I'm looking forward to getting some pretty unique templates and playing them. And if you want to know where all the templates are, there are actually, I'll put some links in the description online, some resources that say where all the templates, what all the templates are, and where you can get them. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and show you all the races. I'm not gonna just jump into the game yet. As you can see here, this is my main character. But I'm gonna show you all the races. There are 12 races in total, if I remember correctly. And so I'll start out with the Fellowship of Light. So I won't type in the name, but just so you guys know, you do have a first name, and when you reach level 25 on any of the classes, you can actually set a last name. So there is the human race, the Draken, the dwarves, I really like the dwarves, the elves, the gnomes, the halflings, and the titans. Now these are all the races you can play while on the Fellowship of Light. One downside to the races, hopefully they change this in the future, you can't actually change your appearance as what race you choose. I mean, you can change the gender and all, but you can't actually customize the appearance. I would look forward in the future that they can change this. But so each race can only play a certain amount of classes. I can actually well, there is a manual that I can show you guys later. I think it's on page 18 or 19. There is a race and class matrix that shows what races can play which classes. So now that you have seen these races, I will show you the Minions of Darkness. So I did make a Doom Knight. I haven't worked on it yet. Alright, so on the Minions of Darkness, you can play human. You can play a Dark Elf, which is, the polar opposite of what the good elves are in the Fellowship of Light. And then you can play the Draken as well. So some races can play on both alignments. The gnome, the goblin. I really like the goblins. I think they're pretty cool. The ogres. I always thought the male ogres, maybe this is just me, look like Robin Williams. That might just be me. I remember one time being in a game and they looked exactly like him. But now that I think about it, they don't look too much like him. Anyway, so then you got the orcs. I think the orcs should be a little bit beefier. I mean, usually orcs are depicted as a... Actually, you know what? I'm just thinking of World of Warcraft. This is kind of what the orcs would look like in Tolkien's books and stuff, or at least the Lord of the Rings movies. And then you have the trolls. The trolls are pretty freaky looking. I mean, they're not scary, but they're like a little bit absurd. Anyway, so those are all the races that you can play on both of the alignments. So I'm gonna go ahead and make a new character for this Let's Play, and, play him and show like how the game works. And then eventually later in the Let's Plays, I'll actually go to my main character and I'll just record him. But alright, so I will name my character Corpus. And I'm not entirely sure what I want to be. I might go, let's see, what classes does the dwarf have? I kind of want to be a barbarian thief, and then a caster. Barbarian thief wizard. Can the gnome do those? What about the titan? What can the titan do? Darn it. Alright, so I can't be barbarian on that. Monk. I can do monk, thief, and wizard. I wonder why revealer isn't on here. You know what? I guess I'll go halfling. Alright, so... And then you can also choose your appearance or your portrait. What your portrait is basically on your nameplate, or like your character plate and stuff, or like when people inspect you, they see one of these portraits. Okay, they see this portrait that you choose. So I guess it's kind of cool. I mean, sometimes I wish it would actually just show what my character would look like, but then again, since all of the races look the same and you can't really, you know, customize the look, I guess the portrait is kind of a viable solution. So I think I'll go with, I'm not sure. You know what these portraits remind me of? It's that one game where you flip down the pictures and you're trying to guess what the pictures are. I forget the name, what it is, but you guess like your other person's picture, and you know, I'm making myself look dumb. Anyway, alright, so you know what? I'll go with the bearded dude. Actually, no, I kind of be the old man. I took a while on that. You can also choose your body type. So you can choose slight, muscular, and heavy. So these don't actually affect your stats. They're, I mean, purely aesthetic. And now you have here your stats. And I'm going to explain what each of these stats are. I did write it down because I don't have the best memory ever. And I kind of want you all to understand what each of the stats are. Oh, here we go. Alright, so your strength, basically, when you're doing melee, it does the melee calculations, like how much damage you'll do. It affects that. Body here, what that does is it affects your max of hit points and your resistances. Yeah, so you know your resistances are like resistance to fire and stuff like that. It'll affect that. Reflexes, those are that's like when you riposte damage and you know, mitigate damage and stuff, how well you can do that. And I think it's all physical damage that it affects. Agility, that's basically, it'll determine your base unarmored rating, how well you can avoid attacks, and it also modulates your defense rating. So dexterity, alright, I didn't even get dexterity written down, did I? No, I didn't. Alright, so dexterity, I think that's how fast you can attack, something sort of to that. I'll have to, you know, I'll add like a caption to the video when I figure it out. Mind, wisdom, and mysticism. Now this is kind of interesting. These here are actually function the same way, but some only work on different classes. Basically, they all affect your max mana and its regeneration rate. But wisdom is only for clerics, druids, and paladins. Mysticism is only for shamans in the Tempest, and mind actually is only for bards, doom knights, necromancers, rangers, revealers, and wizards. There's also another stat. It's called presence. It's not actually on here. Presence affects everything, and like it'll increase everything. Like all these, like any of what these stats can do, presence will affect those. And that it can actually only be gained through completing like quests. And it's as far as I know, is you can get them through quests. But since you know I don't really want to customize these all myself, you can actually click default stats, and based on what class you chose, oops, I was gonna go with monk. So based on what class you chose, it'll automatically set it there for you, so you don't make any mistakes. So it'll choose the best stats the best suitable stats that you would normally do. So alright. I have my character all set up. You know, since he's a halfling, I might as well go slight. You know what? Muscular's not bad. Alright, so let's create my character. That name is taken. Well, you know what? I think I know what it is. Yep. I never really played that character. But, you know what? I'll keep him. Alright, so I'll go back through that. What should I name him? Halfling, monk, muscular, default stats. This is a really difficult decision. Wire maze. Wormies, I'll just say that. Wormies. Okay, that works. And so it looks like I'm ready to enter the game. Alright, so when you're playing single player, or not single player, sorry, when you're playing online, you can actually only have one character in your party at a time instead of you know, the whole 6 characters. So, which isn't a big deal. What you can actually do is change your characters in-game. If you go to an innkeeper, you can switch between your characters. So I like that feature. So that makes it so you don't have to log out. Alright, so I'm going to enter the world. And actually, you know what? I'll see you guys in the next episode. Am I ready? Well, let's find out in the next episode.